Hi everyone, it's Laura here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video I'm going to show you how to use the Hello There Turnabout stamps and dies by Concord&9th and how to create a bright and cheerful hello card. Before sharing how I made this card, I wanted to show you the Concord&9th Hello There Turnabout stamps and dies. This can be purchased individually or as a bundle, and in order to facilitate the alignment of the turnabout stamp, you will need the turnabout jig that can be purchased separately or with the turnabout toolkit. All these products will be linked in the blog post that you will find in the description box down below, so make sure to check that out if you're interested. Another very useful tool that is included with the Hello There Turnabout stamp set by Concord&9th is the alignment aid. And this is what I'm showing you right now. So together with the stamp set, you get this sheet of acetate, which has the exact design as the stamp set and also this X overlaid on top. And this is what will help you position your stamp correctly in your stamping tool so that you can reproduce the turnabout design correctly. In order to use this stamp set, you will need a stamping tool. I am using the Team Holtz stamp platform today, but you can also use the regular sized MISTI if you have that. I am starting by positioning the turnabout jig on the bottom left corner of my stamping tool. And I'm tucking it there because then I'm sure that I can reposition it in case it shifts and it will be in the exact same position. I used some repositionable adhesive on the turnabout jig because I want to use that to secure my alignment aid. So the turnabout jig has two dashed lines that run across, so a big X in the center. And you want to make sure to align the X on your alignment aid with the one on your turnabout jig, as I'm doing right now. I am going to secure them with the magnets too, so that I am sure that they do not shift. And at this point, you can take your stamp and align it as best as you can with the design on the alignment aid. This is an important step, so make sure to take your time. And even if I cut that part away from the video because you don't need to see my head, I actually make sure to go really close next to my stamp and make sure that every part of it was aligned. It is not difficult at all, but you just need to be a little bit careful. And then once you're sure that your stamp is aligned with the alignment aid, you can go ahead, close the door of your stamping tool and pick it up. And you can see the turnabout jig and the alignment aid also got picked up by my stamp platform door, but this is not a problem because having it on that bottom left corner ensures that I can always reposition it exactly where it was in case it shifts. The turnabout jig also has some little marks that you can use to align your A2 sized paper. The one that I'm using today is Neenah Solar White paper by scrapbook.com. These are pre-cut card fronts cut at a standard A2 size. And now everything is ready and I can go ahead and do my stamping. The inks I used are Distress Oxide inks, and because you basically stamp the design 4 times, I decided to use 4 different colors. You can definitely go monochromatic and play around with your inks in the way you prefer, but this is how I decided to go today because I wanted to have a very colorful card front. The first color that I'm using is Blueprint Sketch, and I'm stamping it twice so that I get a nice and good impression. And then I'm going to clean off my stamp because I'm going to use a different color of Distress Oxide for my second stamping. And I'm going to rotate my card front by rotating the turnabout jig by 90 degrees. And I don't know if you can see that, but on all 4 corners of the turnabout jig, there are 4 little numbers, so from 1 to 4. And these are very helpful to guide you turn around your turnabout jig every time you need to do your stamping. For the second round, I'm using Peacock feathers, and then again I'm going to turn my turnabout jig by 90 degrees, clean off my stamp with a microfiber cloth, and then I'm going to do the stamping with the third ink for today, which is Cracked Pistachio Distress Oxide. And every time I'm stamping my image twice so that I get good coverage and a nice and rich color. And I have to say that this stamp is really fun to use, and I think it's really great to see this design come together as you go ahead with your stamping. And I'm sure you can use a lot of different techniques to create tons of really fun cards. The last color I used today is the Twisted Citron, and here is our card front, super bright and fun. At this point you could definitely just add a die cut sentiment and your card will be ready and it will look great as is. But I decided to step it up a notch and I did some ink blending with Distress Oxide in Blueprint Sketch. This is one of the inks that I used for the stamping, and the paper that I'm using is again Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock. And I will use this panel to frame my card front, which I am now trimming down to 4 by 5¼ inches. And to make sure that the design stays centered on my card front, I am trimming off 1/8 of an inch from each side. And for that I am using my Tonic Studios guillotine trimmer, which I really love. For my sentiment I used the Hello die in the Hello There die set by Concord&9th, and I want to create an ombre effect, so I am doing some ink blending with Peacock feathers and Twisted Citron. And I'm sorry that my camera stopped recording at this point, but it was some really easy blending with Distress Oxides and then some die cutting of the sentiment. I trimmed off a strip from the center of my card front and I did it at an angle. And now I am using a sheet of cardstock cut at 4 by 5¼ inches as a base for my stamped design, so that I am sure I'm going to adhere that centered on my card base. I die cut the word hello 3 more times and I stacked all the die cuts together so that I would have a dimensional sentiment. And then, using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, I went ahead and adhered the sentiment to the card front, and I positioned it between the two stamped panels. I also decided to add a little bit of extra detail by stamping these little hearts with Twisted Citron Distress Oxide, and these are also part of the Hello There Turnabout stamp set by Concord&9th. I mounted everything on a top folding A2 card base, and that finished off my card. And here is the final result. I haven't told you so far, but this card was created as part of the Concord&9th Friday feature, so thank you to Concord&9th for having me as a guest designer, and make sure to visit my blog if you want more details on this card, as well as the Concord&9th blog to see more inspiration from the other guest designers. As always, thank you very much for stopping by and have a great day.